Okay, so I think we're going to go back to Gloomhaven. There's nothing we terribly want, but there's no real reason not to. And like I said, the city cards, more chance of being good. Plus, maybe there's something we want to buy. I don't know. Let's see. You hear screams from the south as you approach the docks. You see a group of women running toward you in a panic. An invasion, they yell as they race past you, nearly knocking you over. You hurry to the docks and find a crowd of workers on the edge, armed with makeshift weapons, encircling one particular pier. Standing at the far end of the wooden planks is a group of lurkers, terrifying crab-like monsters, as big as an inox and equally ferocious, except that these lurkers don't appear to be hostile. They're simply standing on the dock, clacking their claws in a strange rhythm. Raise your arms and fight them back, or approach them cautiously and communicate. Well, let's chat with them. Why not? Not sure this is going to work out well. Yeah, it does. I guess both are. The crowd parts as you move toward the dock with both confidence and care. The lurkers notice your approach and continue to clack in your direction. You call out to them and ask why they're here, but all you get in response is a change in the tempo of their clacking. When you express confusion, they clack again in frustration and scuttle back into the ocean. The crowd is impressed you managed to ward them off without force, gain 2 reputation. The other side, we could get a pile of experience, but I think this is fine. Caught myself cheating. I have a 2-handed and a 1-handed object for Craighart. So he's going to have to make his decision which one he wants to have. I'm not sure. I think I'll probably end up selling the shield, although that has been helpful. He's got a lot of hit points. He can probably eat that. It's a card that got this thrown out. Rather than get rid of one of my items, what I chose to do instead was buy a battle axe. And I'll make decisions on scenarios. Hey, do I think I'll be facing things with shielding, especially high shielding? If not, I'll keep the shield, and I've got this, which gives me a one-shot in each scenario to make an attack on 2 spaces. I find it very strange. I wouldn't have thought the battle axe was one-handed, but it is. The thief spent some money on the poison dagger, mainly because he doesn't think the red... First of all, he has 1 melee attack. This one. Plus, he might use, you know, I don't know. See, the red can do 2 extra damage, but only if everything comes to a nice confluence. You know, there has to be a red mana out. This is the, I'm sorry, it's not this one, but he has 1 card that I don't always take, although I often do this card because it gives XP. That does a melee attack. It's not terribly good, but it's a nice multiple space melee attack. It's a flamethrower, which sounds like a ranged weapons to me. But it's the only card that I have that gives me a melee attack for the card power. Now, it is also quite possible that I might want to use the top value area of a card as a 2-point attack as well. The fact that I might want to do multiple different attacks gives me a reason to have the poison dagger instead, because, well, either one works. The poison dagger, after a long rest, I recover it, so that's kind of cool. The other thing, that flaming blade or whatever, the problem with that is I don't see red mana out very often. He doesn't create it. She's the only one who does, and monsters. And she doesn't create a whole hell of a lot of it, so... and I don't add it here as far as I can see. Nope. I could add 2 flames to the deck, which would improve things, but I don't do a lot of melee attack, so it just doesn't help. If I could give it to my bot or something, that would be great, because it would be potent. I think I'm going to get more use out of the poison dagger, being able to chunk that every now and then. I still don't know where I want to go. And this is actually a hard problem now, because all I have is my bad eyesight trying to hunt these things down to see which ones are there, or to try to follow some of the storylines. Now, I know some of these storyline ones don't really work. Like, do I want to go to the diamond mine even though I'm chasing down this wench? There might be some magic item there or something that I can't get anywhere else. And this is my only time to go there. However, I'm also kind of at the top of my game right now. Not in terms of my own capability to play, but rather in terms of level. I am at, if I go up another level with any of these characters and I don't bring someone else in, I am then going to be, oh geez, the sticker from here came off. Damn it. I know I went here. I'm going to be I can't remember my train of thought now. I am going to be facing a level 3 dungeon. So maybe this is the time to press into one of those harder things instead, like trying to finish her off, which I kind of feel like I should do. I closed the gate, and is that important? I did not get a marker for that, which means I can still go back to that other harder way, I think. This is the problem, is I'm starting to lose track of the connections in the game. And I think rather than this board with stickers on it, what would be much more useful is a sheet of paper where you're tracing, hey, I got here from this, I got here from this. Because there's almost no importance to the physicality of the board, to the layout of the board. And I think, something that tells you, I can now go to this one because of this one, would help you follow the storylines better and give you a better view than some geographical map that doesn't have any influence on play at all. It doesn't take time to move anywhere unless you're... The only place where it's special is when you're in one of these places where they're adjacent to each other. Okay, so I did a little bit of examination of the things I had on the map, and a couple were not allowed. The Runeous Rift here, I would need... Oh shit, no. I would need the Stonebreaker Sensor complete. That's what it is. And I don't have that yet. This is one of those Hail adventures. I'm not sure, from what I can tell, maybe you're not supposed to just open things up with them. Another one is this 43. I didn't remove this from the map, but I'm not going to explore that unless I run out of other options. So it kind of should be removed, but it has no requirements, I think, or if it does, it only has the requirement of the power of enhancement. So, but I haven't gotten any reason I should go there. For some reason or another, it opened that up. There's errata about about that power of enhancement thing, that like the things it opens up aren't real. So that leaves me with 3 things that I can examine. This, which was the Temple of the Seer, my other option other than Hail. And they were both kind of marked the same. And I don't know, but I peeked at it and I saw something that maybe I didn't need to or whatever. But it allows you to open up one of 3 things. Now, things that it allows you to open up are things that you might require Hail for. So I don't know that it really opens them up. I have this, which is the Rift. I've closed the Rift though, so maybe I can't actually get in there. I didn't look at this. 10, I think. It's hard to read. Plane of Elemental Power. That's the Rift neutralized, incomplete. I don't have the Rift neutralized, so I thought I was supposed to. I thought that was the thing that I did. So maybe I've got to take care of that. This is a Necromancer based one. It's kind of a, hey, did you want to clear this out for the, or not Necromancer, did you want to clear this out for the cultists? Which I don't particularly want to do. I peeked at that as well, just at the introduction to it. And it appears like I could just go there to loot it from the storyline there. But that's not really high on my list. So I think I'm going to go after this one, which I think is 20. And that should be Jessicara. Now, one thing that I removed was the diamond mine. Yeah, the merchant flees complete, kill Jessicara. Okay. Is the diamond mine. Uh-oh, I gotta swap batteries. Something should tell you you should remove stickers, even though you actually can't, or mark them or something as unusable anymore when you complete adventures, because the diamond mine actually becomes inaccessible once the merchant flees comes up. Obviously, removable stickers are a lot more reasonable, and the game should just come with them. Or, you know, something else, like just a sheet of paper, like I said, where there'd be instructions on the map to mark something unavailable anymore. Because once you have too many stickers on the map that are all unmarked in some way, and clearly you could use a grease pencil or, you know, whatever to mark off things you've been to that you can go to again, and to mark off things that you've been to that you can't go to if you have the original set. The problem with the original set is I think it damages the map. This set still does a little bit. It pulls, like there's places, there's a little stain here where something was. I can live with that, but again, this whole, I gotta tell you, the whole concept of like this being a legacy game, there's not much effect to it. And I hate the concept of legacy in the sense that, not in the sense of continuing adventure type thing. That works fine here. It works great in Source of the Nile. But I really hate the idea of, oh, look, you've just made the game unplayable again. You can never play it in that same state that you had it before if you're destroying pieces and wrecking the map and everything. Though honestly, I could have bought a used version of this that was, you know, used up and still been able to play it. I can see that. So I would actually suggest that rather than, you know, you're still going to pay a fortune in shipping, but rather than paying whatever the market value is at any given time for it, for even a version that's used with the removable stickers, fuck it, man. Just print out the sheets of paper that allow you to play it that way. All right, so I'm going to go for this one, and I guess we maybe should read this a little bit. Let's see what there is. You never would have found it without help. Okay, great. I think that's after I get there, so I am going to encounter my road trip to there. We hate these, don't we? Walking a path between a small grove and a steep hill, you suddenly find yourself facing a massive group of felled trees blocking the road. The placement of the trees seems odd, and you have a wary suspicious feeling about the whole situation. Clear the trees from the road. It is the best way through and will help other travelers. Take the time to find a way around the trees. I don't want to approach an ambush site, so I'll go for B. I don't know which one I like better. Had I had the right characters, I would have been able to deal with this. But I didn't think about that. I do have the right character. I have the Spellweaver. You head into the underbrush of the grove to get around the felled trees, but it is rough going. The growth is very dense, and there are prickly thorns. Oh, ouch. Everybody starts with 2 damage. Well, that's just her. So I'll put that over here. And that'll go back at the bottom of the deck because it hasn't been cleared. But now, because I peeked at this and saw this side, she's like, you know, I could have just burned them. Yep. And if I'll remember that I could have just burned them, you know, when I get around. If the deck gets reshuffled, sure. But yeah, If it doesn't get reshuffled, if it doesn't come up in the near future, I'm not going to remember which characters could get through this easily. But if I have someone who has fire magic, I'll figure they can. You would never have found the lair without help. Deep in the Dagger Forest, you would have become hopelessly lost for hours. No, hours ago, if not for the detailed directions you carry. After various twists and turns, you find yourself staring at an ancient mausoleum hidden in the growth of the forest. A massive tree trunk mostly blocks the entranceway. This building must have been built ages ago and was long forgotten by time. I'm always hoping for clues in this. That's why I read it. You squeeze past the tree trunk into the dark halls of the tomb. You light a torch and wait silently, listening for sounds of inhabitants. It is faint, but to your left you hear a shuffling sound. You move closer and open a set of stone doors. Ahead of you, the torchlight catches shadows of the living dead. It looks like Jexara is hard at work rebuilding her army. When I say that, it's kind of funny. I never liked the written intros in role-playing games either. The read something to people. I always like being given the mood, but not a text to read like that. I totally don't mind reading stories aloud and such, but somehow the entrance to games doesn't work. Okay, well, it's an interesting situation. My scenario is I must kill Jexara. She is somewhere. I know it's in this room, actually. I also know there's a treasure in this room, from what I've seen. I don't want to look any further at anything, certainly not the monster's placement. Right now, what I'm facing, though, is going to be 3 skeletons and a couple of cultists, one of them elite. Obviously, I have to move through here. If I want that treasure, I've got to cut through it, cut down that way. How do I know that? I don't know. Again, I don't want to know too much, but there's a certain amount of what you kind of have to know because of the gaminess of the end conditions. So I have to make a decision. Once I'm in this room, do I want to explore the other room for the treasure, or do I want to just go for the win? And we'll see. There's an event if I go through room 1, through that door, though. An event that I don't know what it is. Again, I don't know how much of this you're supposed to know in advance. I like to experience them with as much cluelessness as possible. Now, I guess I get to choose, and remember, I've got excess weaponry, so he's got to make a choice. Hey, am I going to go more melee oriented or more missile oriented? And obviously the cards and everything, and then I've got these things to also decide upon. Often the case, and because of my lack of planning, and especially lack of coordination, which is appropriate, I don't really always take advantage of things particularly well. So what happened? We played big cards. Tinker summoned his skeleton and stunned the first of the living bones. That was, I think, here. Then Craghart went, fired a big shot off, killed 2 out of the 3 frontline guys, gets his opener advantage. And he also set up his retaliation. But in addition to killing, there were all kind of markers thrown all over the place. So one of the skeletons was both wounded and, I don't remember what, immobilized? Stunned. Wounded and stunned. Craghart threw off a disarmament, which prevented this one from attacking. However, before that got to go, the cultists went, and they summoned a couple more skeletons, taking some damage. They got a reshuffle coming up. But basically no attacks on me. But what changed was Spellweaver completely changed her plan. She was going to summon her critter. Instead, she decided to use the heal off that card, get herself back up to 9, because she started quite low. Mainly because this attack was no longer valuable. They cleared all her targets out, or most of her targets. She could use one's card to kill this. I'd rather go through my deck once more. It looks like this is not going to be a tough room. Maybe I don't need my ally for it. This may not be that tough a dungeon. Yeah, there's a boss in it, but yeah, I'm probably being overly rosy in my painting of things. These never end up easy. They always end up close to the line. This is the bow. I did not use it. I used that. Like I said, I fired off a fair amount of my resources. And we can see some colors created as well. I need to go hard and fast. And you know, the last scenario may have taught me I shouldn't do that. I should reserve my best cards for late. Not with her, but with everyone else. And make sure that I don't burn through my cards. But Cragheart is especially the problem here. Burned another good attack card and slammed down and destroyed all the skeletons, basically, with one big attack. Which is pretty awesome, but he's down 2 good cards, and then he's got this thing, which is also going to be out of his hand. Although it's got a nice effect that it persists. For the follow-up, well, Tinker moved forward and created his battle bot. More firepower, but they move slowly, so there's kind of an issue there. And then the spellcaster launched some attacks against these, hoping to complete her quest. But that put her in range of the cultists, who at least didn't create more skeletons this time, but they did heal. And I think I'll be able to take them out pretty easily. The battle bot is at least in range of them, so if he goes early, we'll get a good swing in on them before players have to waste cards. The problem is you have to choose your cards, but it's okay if they go in the discard pile, I guess. And then the cultists themselves attacked. The bones didn't get a chance. They were gone by the time they did. I'm leaving them out there because I might end up with more as long as there are cultists on the board. Made some very suboptimal decisions here on my side. This thing's going. Let's see. So everybody went kind of fast for them. I mean, for Cragheart, that's in the 50s. But it was all fast enough to beat the cultists, and the cultists weren't going to do any damage on their own from the card that came up, which I didn't know when I set this up, but okay. But I kind of chose the less aggressive cards out of each pair that I picked, so nobody buried a card, not even her, who can probably afford it. Although there's advantages to her not burying them early still. And using some area of effect attacks, but not really big ones, well, everybody together kind of managed to blast that thing out of the way. But only after it took the 2 hits for summoning a skeleton. So now I've got 2 more of these damn skeletons in the way. And I would have been better off spending cards had I known that was coming up. But once I did know it was coming up, I still chose not to use the heavier cards, and that's kind of where the problem lies. The only thing I have to hope for kind of is, hey, if I can get the Tinker moving fast, these things can do something, and then I can use my cards to enter the next room instead. But I'm not going to be able to blow through 3 critters. And I just played foolishly. After the Tinker burns a good card, we managed to bust our way through that. Let's the Spellweaver, who was going last, open the door. Good idea, bad? I'm not sure. And behind the door, there's some of these night demons and unfortunately cultists who are going to summon more skeletons. Right. She's out of cards. She can take a long rest and go on the next turn and go invisible this turn. And that makes it so that nothing's going to actually attack. However, cultists might do more annoying stuff, but they do damage themselves at least. Mostly something the player really doesn't want to have happen, a wasted turn. I thought, oh, it's clever. Spellweaver's invisible. Part of the reason she went invisible. Blocking the door, the night demons can't get through her. And I can launch some ranged attacks. So that was the plan. Unfortunately, Cragheart got off an attack, but it was nullified. It pushed this using green mana, which actually made the Tinkerer's attack ineffective. Also, and one reason I chose to make that attack at all, because that didn't burn a card permanently, was this Night Demon went invisible, which meant that the Tinkerer's they had an attack that could have hit all three of the Night Demons. And that would have been effective, perhaps, but instead it would hit a maximum of 2 of them, burn a card permanently, so instead he actually just didn't make his attack. My backup things, or my little critters, they don't have any ranged weaponry at all, so, you know, there was no point to attack, or they weren't able to attack. And basically both of these guys wasted a turn burning cards. Not permanent burns, but, you know, once you run through all your cards, and Cragheart's going to have to rest in one form or another, I have to figure out which type. At this moment, actually, he did get an XP out of it at least, and the Tinker got a treasure, but a coin. But, you know, there's a cost, and there's only a certain amount of time I can be on the dungeon. I'm a little worried about that, because if I want to get this treasure and go in there and fight the scenario, that may be stretching my deck a little far. If I have someone who doesn't have many good cards left, though, I might run them down to try to deal with this. Grab the treasure, die there. What are my victory conditions? I think just Jessicara. Yeah, or Jexera, which means a character could go on a suicide mission to grab this if the other characters can handle the main fight. This fight's turning out ugly, though, and the cultists healed themselves. I may be misplaying something. The way these are worded, area of effects don't say anything about targeting, which actually, gee, he could have hit them all if that push hadn't happened. It doesn't state anything about targeting. It says, first of all, you don't have to drop the attack on something that had an enemy in it, and then you can extend it out from there. And you can only, yeah, but it doesn't say anything that it has targeting on it. However, here it does. Yeah, it says target multiple hexes. So I think the invisibility still affects, which means her attack, which is going to be a ranged big blast, is going to be centered not where I first thought, which was here. I'm going to see if I can either get a line of sight and or capture anything in that. I don't think I can. So if I want to get both of these, I've got to create this. That's going to be a 3 hex hit. I'm really having trouble. I don't know if I've tailored my decks away from those big explosive actions that I used to have, or these monsters are just too painful, but the turns are certainly coming up kind of ugly for me. So she opened things up, healing the skeleton or something like that. And with that big blast, it did muddles. It didn't do a lot else. It damaged a couple of things. The Tinker kind of got a wasted turn again. He managed to heal people. I guess the biggie for him was the skeleton marched forward and attacked. And I'm as good at that as the BattleBot, so that doesn't matter. Except for the skeleton's a little weaker, but it does as much damage. And I don't think it got a hit. It's hard to hit. Cragheart threw this, which is a potent card to throw away. I love this card, but I didn't really have a move that would get me beyond here, and Tinker had said, look, I'm going to take that space. So putting a retaliate on the skeleton is the choice I had. I could have put it on the Spellweaver. Caused a little bit of extra damage to this one of the night demons. His attack finished off the one demon. I'm going to pay attention to these special abilities. So far, nobody's fulfilled theirs except Craghart. We all went before the monsters, but the living bones, well, one of them was damaged. He healed himself, and he's no longer muddled. I had double muddles on everything, essentially. It doesn't count for anything special. The demons didn't do a lot of damage, but again, they're wearing out the cards that the players have, and the cultists created more skeletons, and I forgot to give them their damage. I got a few other cleanup things to do. The thing is, I enjoy this enough, but I find it very, very painful to play, and some of that's just my spirit. The past year, really, almost. It's been hard. There's been a few moments where I've wanted to play a lot since well, maybe even 2 years since I moved to Eugene, but it's become really tough for me to sustain sort of the constant flow. It had always been dropping off, and now, I don't know, it's just getting harder and harder. And the pre-planning aspect is really, the kind of thing that gets in my way. I mean, I played, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes or whatever, and I'm going to stop, But I'm never going to make it through these. I'm going to try to keep pushing, maybe through another turn. The big question here right now is the Tinker do a full rest or a partial? I'm not sure. I'm worried about two things. One is full rest lets me delay for a turn, so I exist for another turn. And he's got a decent number of cards. I haven't been burning the cards too quickly, although Craghart started really going through them, which bodes unwell for the future. The other side of it is, do I really need to get damage out right now? And these things are not really moving forward too fast. But Spellweaver is not the person that I want in the front. Unfortunately, these are going to have trouble moving. So maybe clearing a space is important, but I can clear that space and let the BattleBot take it. So that's not necessarily difficult. One thing to note, none of these have any statuses on them, so I can't count on, well, they're going to have trouble hitting me. No, they all had their muddle effect already, even though I hit them twice with it. Okay, and this time, we didn't get the jump, but it didn't matter much. The skeletons didn't do shit. One recovered, but it got killed anyway, and the cultists moved slowly and didn't do anything of interest either. And they're too far back to really have much effect. We managed to kill the other night demon with sort of a concentrated set of attacks, and it was expensive. Actually, we got both the night demons down, I think. Maybe it was just one, because she went there and picked up a coin, so I think there was one gone there. No, the night demon and the skeleton got picked off, and that's really it. He took a long rest. I've got to recover, figure out which card he wants set up for his next turn. And my skeleton actually provided the killing blow to the night demon. Yay! Definitely falling behind there in terms of distance. I don't know what else to say. I don't see how we can get the chest and that. It feels like this is not going well. Okay, so this time, wow. Tinker went first, healed the Spellweaver. His critter's moving up, doing an attack on the skeleton that was up there. One of them got an attack on the skeleton that was up there. Craghart's attack was used his boots. To charge up, do a point of damage to the skeleton from his move, shoot the cultist so that when it summoned a skeleton, it would die. And the other cultist was unable to summon a skeleton because the skeletons are blocking the way and healing themselves and everything. Yeah, all got into a mess. The Spellweaver finally went, did a shot that took out this skeleton. She used her bow for this and damaged this one. Because presumably that's a 2-point shield. That's a +1 shield, not just a shield 1 or whatever. And then she summoned her little critter. It's getting summoned so late, I may not be able to recycle it when I play my card to get my cards back, but I haven't discarded a lot of cards permanently, so that's kind of cool. Maybe I'll be able to get it killed. I don't know, and replay that card. That was kind of erasing the hole in case the healing didn't work. And it's getting down closer to where we want things to be in terms of I actually did the push. So this skeleton and this coin, if I pushed him, would be back here, cluttering things up even more. That's cool. Okay. I went back on my decision with his move. I kept debating whether or not to jump next to the skeleton and do a guaranteed point to it. And eventually I decided on that because she had a good chance of killing it. All right. And slowing things down. Or at least tempting me not to play today, although I've played more today than I have in the last couple days, right? So maybe it's the opposite effect. I took a nasty fall. If you follow me on Facebook, you might have seen it. And I really kind of landed on my back of my hip. And it's all swollen up back there. Ankle hurts, arch of my foot hurts. I landed on the hand that I broke last time I fell, which was dancing. Stepped on a wet spot with shoes I was not used to. And I don't know, I was just thinking, yeah, I'm in a lot of pain, but in a way that maybe kind of drives me on. Misery is something of my existence. It makes it easier to do things somehow. Comfort keeps me from doing things. And my bedroom is the only warm room that I have available to me. So I guess I could play down the basement. But it's not that cold right now. It hasn't been, it hasn't been below freezing for the most part. So I've been in the low 40s most nights. And but anyway, I started thinking about I think some people would go to the doctor if they felt like I do. Like I took a fucking rock right in a really nasty way, like just the steps going up. And now I'm noticing the other hip is hurting too and everything. But it's like, that's just, although I can think of it as in somebody else would do that, that's along the lines of, other people like to clean their stuff and keep it in good shape and stuff. It's something that's so alien to me. I can't do it. I don't know. Okay, so continuing through my own depression, which this seems to be, along with other factors, but let's see. We have Craghart ended up doing a quick rest, so the Tinker moved quickly so that he could drop the skeleton into place to attack. And the problem is, my opponents, the monsters, chose once again to play for delay of game, as it were, which is really going to make this very difficult because I'm running out of cards. And I'm not going to be able to complete this scenario, I don't think. At this point, I'm kind of considering I'm just going to go for the treasure and probably try to do this damn one again. Losing some heart here. Very limited damage. We managed, the Tinker managed to get a wound and a poison on one of the skeletons, which is going to be kind of nice. But these healing events and the fact that they came kind of quickly saved the cultist's life, so he's still around, possibly able to generate more skeletons if things happen. I also kind of fucked up with Craghart. He should have been here, destroyed this, and done a bigger attack on things. Instead, he kind of wasted his turn on a light attack and isn't as close as I thought he was going to be. I thought he was going to be in a position where he could destroy that and then move forward afterwards. Not the case. I made a bad, I made an error in terms of the cards I selected for the turn. I knew what I wanted to do. It didn't get done. Again, didn't go quite as planned, but they weren't as bad as I thought they might be. Craghart, well, first the skeletons played their delaying game again, and I haven't reshuffled them yet. Craghart smashed this sarcophagus. It didn't kill this one, but it killed this. And I think it was the skeleton that killed off the other skeleton. So that worked out okay. The fact that it was poisoned meant that its heal didn't remove 2 damage, so it was more swiftly able to be removed. I'm in a situation where it actually looks like I may be better poised to move into here and say fuck the treasure chest, go for the win for the scenario instead. And I think that's what we're going to try for. Just because all this firepower is right here. It's not down here. And I am running out of cards. So, unfortunately, this turn, Craghart has to make a decision how he wants to heal. He actually could have taken a couple of cards back with this instead, which might be a good move too. Or give him another turn before he heals. I'm not sure which one makes more sense. Right now he's in a position where he's facing a skeleton that he nulled out on when he attacked it. It will eventually hurt itself against him, I guess. I don't know. That muddle should be gone though by now. Okay, things are looking grim. Went through the door. Only way we can finish the scenario, I mean, basically our choices were go for finishing the scenario or go for the treasure chest. I thought we might have a shot at finishing the scenario. I'm not so sure now. Came in through the door, a couple living corpses were there, a couple skeletons. Okay, fine. Jakasara is the important part, but she has some 27 hit points, which I'm going to have a lot of trouble doing. And the stuff in the way is making it hard to get through. These things took damage trying to kill the skeleton that was left. And then Craghart finished it off, running away a little bit. He failed to kill one of these traps. Thought he had a push capability to his attack, but he did too much damage on the base attack and killed the skeleton. A lot of breaks going against me, but also, of course, with me not playing straight through very much, there's also more opportunity for me to fuck around, to make bad decisions, which I've certainly made more in this that I can recognize than usual. Now, I've got a few options. I think Craghart is going to blow his potion and just get his crap back, because he has basically no hand. Tinker is doing the invisibility, probably do a long rest here. I think in order to hold the door, that way other people can move a little bit more slowly. Of course, she's a problem. She's got all kind of fucking immunity. She's got capabilities to create new critters. Really have to be focusing on her, but at this moment, that doesn't seem at all easy, especially since my critters, which I'm counting on, they're not going to have any capability to jump over the monsters that are in my way. So, a fair amount of my combat capability is tied up in those right now. She's got largely a full hand, winged boots, but alone she's not going to be able to take the boss down. And Not a lot of cards in Craghart's deck. He's got one more round here, and then another round, after a rest, and that's it for the game. So it just doesn't look like I have enough staying power to cut through her. All right, this is a tough scenario for us. I think we would have been better off going for the treasure chest, just because this Jexara is very tough. However, this is part of the campaign. I gotta wipe her out anyway. She's created yet another living bones. Craghart's almost done. He's best off taking a long rest here. Tinker took his long rest. Reinforcements coming up, but I got to stay alive for that. Craghart jumped in here, did some damage, a few hits on her, stunned a couple of things. I think it was he who did the stun. No, actually, she did the stunning, and it's basically let's jump over the enemies and try to hit her, but the enemies are going to overwhelm us pretty easily if we're not careful, and I just don't see too much solution to that. I feel at all comfortable here, but one of the skeletons at least killed itself against Craghart. These guys were stunned, so they weren't able to do anything. I was lucky. I forgot about the resistances, but there's no resistance to poison on her, so that did actually take effect. I fired a poison arrow or whatever from the trickster, or the tinker, or whatever he is. She jumped in and launched an attack, and it's almost looking like maybe there's sort of a chance. I've done a third of the damage necessary to her, but if I'm focusing on her, I could easily do a third twice more. So if because these two basically did that. As long as they're not dropping, and with Craghart sitting there, that's helping a little bit. And then these things are going to come in and presumably attract some of the attention of those skeletons. So we'll see where we land. Came in and did a lot of damage. Jexara opened things up with a living corpse pretty early. The bones, all through extra shielding up, healed themselves. However, we still managed to kill one of them, I think. Craghart was able to launch an attack that hit all three of these, but the only thing he killed was the thing he was disadvantaged against, and he actually drew one of those cool, hey, I get a color and a redraw with a big damage card. He did decent damage against both. Muddled the corpse, can't do that to Jexara, or Jexara, or whatever, right? Muddle is also allowed. How about that? That'll help a little bit. She's at under half at this point, 15 hits against her. With that poison, I think I got a shot. maybe. But it's real close. These guys are definitely doing a good job by holding those skeletons away so that they don't just kill me. And other than that, I'd be in a lot of trouble. And it's really cool because the people who still have cards are the ones who own these, so that they don't just vaporize. To the next turn, setting things up, Craghart's still around. He can do a long rest and delay himself. He won't get another turn, but he's still around to cause some damage and maybe attract some attention. So that's the big advantage of him, and that's actually why he positioned himself where he was. He could have positioned himself somewhere where he would have gotten no disadvantaged attacks, but that location looked much more suitable. I went for moving fast, and I will get to fire one thing off fast. I'm not sure I wanted to do that because she has a healing in play. Tinker trashed a card in order to avoid Jexara's attack last time. It was going to do like 5 points of damage. Well, there isn't much to do there. I also recovered my cards so I could get this big attack 5 back out. I'm hoping to just blast through her with that. Of course, anything could be nullified. We had a nullification come up over there, but it's, you know, you got to play your odds. Anyway, she's going to get to go first and summon something, and that gets to put it here or here. It's going to go closer, I think, to the Tinker, which kind of sucks, because I would much rather have it attacking Craghart, but that's life. Ended up working out really well, because that put that here, blocking her path to him. So then she had to attack Craghart, 2 more points of damage. She's within 5. He's got a 5 attack sitting right there. We'll be doing that very shortly. That didn't fail. I should have done it in the other order, because I don't have that sitting on top. It was a destroy card. I could have used that card as his move, and then, I don't know, looted maybe this or something. I couldn't have gotten there. I used my jump boots and everything, so there was no real advantage to it. Hey, I forgot to use these, which would have prevented my chance of getting a failure anyway, significantly, because 5 points of damage plus she's poisoned, that's a 6 base. It was almost certain to kill her, actually. So I fired the other thing at the living dead. This one did hit him. This one couldn't move anywhere, so it couldn't do anything, because they got the move slow. That's the end of the round. There's nothing else to do, which means it's the end of the scenario, because she's dead. Therefore, she collapses, life fleeing from her eyes. She whispers to you, you have no idea what's coming. Uh-oh. With one more hack of your blade, you separate her head from her body and hastily leave the wretched place full of mangled corpses. You return the head to the captain of the guard and are paid handsomely for the bounty on her. If you're interested, I may have some more work for you, he says grimly. First of all, we've had reports from northern scouts of sightings of large flying creatures. They're afraid of dragons. He shakes his head in annoyance. I'd like you to head to the northern pass and investigate. So now I've got 2 things showing up here. Closer to home, however, there's some trouble brewing in the sewers below the sinking market. The wells in the area seem to be poisoned, and the sewers have become infested with snakes and sentient slimes, making further investigation difficult. I need you to discover the source of that poison. I'm going to be getting a lot of stuff, gold, reputation, another prosperity level. Still haven't gotten up to 3. Bringing new characters in, they're not going to be very high level comparatively. Prosperity is not going to keep up with my level, it seems. At least not if I'm this successful. Well, no, I think the less successful you are, the more likely you're going to go up levels. So I'm not too worried about that. I'm kind of worried about, not terribly, because I don't really want to be playing this forever, but I am kind of worried about burning through the scenarios and not really getting very far in terms of the characters. Of course, if you're playing the campaign for real, i.e., you know, not going to peel everything off and start over again, you can go explore the other stuff with the new characters that you haven't gotten to explore, or you can go in and experience random dungeons and stuff like that. That's just not, you know, I want to get a feel for, if I can get that far, how things kind of fit. But I have, you know, in terms of like, can I explore most of the character classes within the realm of a campaign? How big is it really? You know, there's only 100 scenarios or whatever. I've played a fair amount of them already, and I'm not going to get to them all. Some of them get negated by things you do. So that's about that. I don't see any, like, I don't get something like the merchant is dead or anything like that. So that's not an issue. But I did manage to get through this. I'm pretty impressed. I did not think I had a chance. I really didn't. When I went through that door, I thought I was making a foolish decision, even really until this last turn where, hey, I got enough points of damage that I could do this. And if I had done this, that would have been a little bit smarter. Of course, I am kind of cheating in the sense of like not taking the solo penalty but I'm also not really taking any advantage from playing solo either, so I think that's fair. I'll come back with a disposition of what the points kind of mean in a little bit. Reverse one thing on that last turn. After everybody went, the Tinkerer was going to took like a significant amount of damage. Instead, I burn a card to prevent that so that I get my check mark. She did not get hers, however. One more thing. The reputation we gained off this created a new character. The Sunkeeper or something like that. I haven't really looked at it. I opened the box. This little sun thing here, because we hit a 10 reputation, which, you know, it's one of the paths you can follow. If you become evil, I think something else opens up, you know? Yeah. If your reputation is -10 or higher, or lower, you end up with, I assume, a dark aligned character who will better fit, you know, at least the flavor of what the party's going. I haven't added my points in yet in doing that. There are a lot of XP. So like Craghart pulled in 18 XP on his own. She pulled in 12. We burned a lot of cards this time, and we're getting higher level, so there's more cards that can generate XP, so that's kind of cool. Okay, well, point-wise, nobody got anything too exciting. We're still not money-wise where we really want to be. 74, I think, is our highest. When I start looking at the things that improve cards, yeah, I can pop one on for even as low as 30 bucks. But the costs, you know, the things that I want to improve are generally more costly than that. And then I'm worried, well, if I want to improve a higher level card, that costs more. So it's like, wow, these are really expensive. Maybe I should just like throw money into the blessings. That would get me a possible bonus there, which seemed pretty cool. So that's kind of interesting. He got a checkmark set and added a +2 muddle to his deck. I could have pulled out. There were a couple interesting options. Remove 4 +0 cards. Hey, but that kind of means that if something bad happens, you know, due to an event or something, that's going to have more effect. It's not like removing the minus cards. The zeros are okay, unless I have a lot of things like these +2 muddles and +1 immobilizes in my deck. So I didn't really want to do that. The ignore negative item, I'm just not really willing to do that, just when there's only one item that's got that in play. Add a -2 and 2 +2s. That's attractive, but I don't know. I kind of like. It's great when I do extra damage, but I kind of like to make sure that I do the damage I expect. So that goes for more variability. That, you know, while I like variability in a game, I don't necessarily want it to afflict my character particularly, and so that becomes less effective. So other than creating some extra mana, which I've already thrown a couple extra greens in there, I'm pretty good with that. The muddles seem like the best things. The other alternative that was interesting was this +1 immobilize, but it's less damage, and sometimes immobilizes don't make a damn bit of difference. You know, if I'm at range, sure, but I'm not sure Craghart's always going to be at range, so he might be storming into something and getting him, you know, there's a reason I have this weapon. He might be getting himself into a melee situation. So, immobilizing someone doesn't necessarily give me the advantage that I like. The muddle almost invariably is going to help me. And I guess that's about it. Now I'm just cleaning up. The next adventure, I don't know what, you know, I've got a number of different places to place, and I haven't put them on the map. I'll do that when I clean up. But otherwise, we can send this one up. One thing, I love to cheat, right? I checked that treasure because I had a suspicion it might have been the skull ring. It wasn't. It was some other skull item. Pity. Last thing, The new location, 28, I looked at it. I don't have the requirements for it. I'm assuming some other adventure is going to refer to it. I don't want to put it on my map if I can't go to it. That's going to confuse me. I also have a question in my head, which is, gee, does it really make sense if I'm in Gloomhaven that I have to do a travel action? I may have misplayed that when I went to the warehouse. It wouldn't make a lot of sense given that it seems like there's some rest and everything involved when you're actually at Gloomhaven. And of course, it seems like there's some rest anywhere. It's like, I don't know, you get your cards back and everything. So maybe, maybe not. I'm going to take a peek at that and then I'll make a decision as to whether or not I want to do that. Anyway, this is actually going to go up at some point.